Now let's see how we can migrate save game system for your own project. So in order to do that, let's create some sample project first. So I'll simply create a game. Let's say it's a blank project, and I'll save my project in the desktop and under this default name. Okay, so it will take some time to create the project. Okay, so now this is my new project. So currently you can see that there is nothing there. It's only the content folder and the default map. Okay, so let's go to the save game system again, and here I can simply right click on the save game system folder and select this migrate option, and by default let's select everything under this directory and simply click OK, and let's go to the desktop, my project, and inside the content folder we can migrate our asset over there, right? So make sure you are migrating your save game system asset to this specific content folder, right? Otherwise there will be some conflicts or maybe some dependency issues when you are compiling your project, right? So in order to mitigate such issues, always make sure to migrate your save game system for this content folder, right? And let's migrate our assets, and if I go to the new project, so here you can see that our asset has been migrated successfully, right? But if you open level, and maybe let's open this showcase map, and if you try to play this again, you can see that there are some errors, as well as you can't control your character as well, right? It's simply because of we haven't migrated our input mappings or other default metadata or configuration related data to the project, right? So let's see how we can migrate those stuffs as well. So the very first thing that you have to migrate is this maps and mods configurations. So simply you can export those config files to desktop maybe, and go to your own project, and under the project settings let's import that specific config file. So this is the config that we have been just exported. Okay, so now you can see that those values has been automatically populated, right? So you can do this by manually as well, but the easiest way is simply exporting the configuration file and import it again, right? And the next thing that we have to export is our input mappings. So here basically it includes the relevant keyboard and mouse inputs in order to control our player character, right? So let's export those configurations as well, and let's go to my project, and under input let's import that file, which is input backup. Okay, so now you can see that the values has been automatically populated and everything is there. And now if you try to play this showcase map again, here you can see that you can control your player character, as well as there are no warnings, okay, which is expected. Okay, so now the migration has been successfully completed. So you can actually start from main menu level onwards as well. So if you try to play from there, here you can see the continue button is there because we have opened up our showcase level at the very first time as well. So by default there is a new save slot has been created. So if you go to the load games, here you can see that save instance is there, right? And all the other stuffs will work properly as I explained at the introduction, because we have successfully migrated the project, right? So it's very simple. So all you have to do is simply migrate this file for your own project, content folder, and then export and import the necessary maps and modes configurations, or you can do that manually as well, and export and import these engine inputs as well, right? After that, you will be able to use your save game system. Okay, and there are few other things that I need to show you. So why we need to set up these game modes instances and levels, as well as this game instance? Well, when it comes to save game system, this BP save game mode and BP save game system game instance are the core components that handle all the necessary heavy state lifting of the game, right? So for instance, I can simply go to this game mode. So here under the save game system blueprints folder and the game base, I have added that game mode, and there are two game modes here as well. So for the main menu there is a specific game mode, and for the game levels there is another game mode, right? This one. So here you can see that the only difference between this main menu game mode and the save game system game mode is that at the main menu we don't need any sort of player controls as well as any sort of default pawn class, because it's simply a menu. But in the game level we need the pawn class, which is BP player by default, as well as the player controller, which basically controls the player inputs or player pawn, right? So that's why I added two different game modes. So based on your needs you can send these features as well. But here, the most importantly, you can see that we have our game state class. So if you go to the game state class, there is nothing but these two blueprint components has been added. So here basically under the save game system we following a pluggable architecture, right, where we can plug the components and use the features of the system, right? So therefore you don't need to add any more codes for your game. You can simply add the component to your blueprints and the respective features will be automatically applied, right? So this BPC save game system GS is the blueprint actor component that handle all the necessary game state related activities, as well as this mission system is there to handle that simple mission and objective system, right? And yeah, so that's the game state. And next we have HUD component as well. So if you go to the HUD, again no code is there, only this blueprint actor component, because this blueprint actor component automatically handles all the necessary HUD related stuffs, right? So that's the game mode and the blueprint actor components. And the next most important thing is this BP save game system game instance, right? So game instance is actually a heavy class, because if you open your game at the very first time, this is sort of like a centralized module that handle all of your game states, right? So at the game instance level we have added all the necessary save system related stuff, such as let's say if you want to create a new game, we have implemented an interface, and this interface will be called when you are creating a new game, as well as when you are continuing the game, this interface method will be get called. Likewise, we have implemented set of interfaces. You can go check those stuff there. And at the configurations, basically there are several configurations that you can do. First thing is that enable autosave, which means let's say if you need to enable some autosaving features in your game, you can simply tick this variable, so it will automatically start autosavings. And under the autosaving delay, basically this is the time delay that is going to take to trigger an autosave, right? So for example, so here the autosave delay is 300 seconds. So after 300 seconds, once you start your game, an autosaving event will be get triggered and a save slot will be there, right? So you can maybe increase or decrease this value based on your needs. so you can control the auto saving delay, as well as the default level name is basically when you have opened your level, or when the player is starting a new game, there should be a level that is going to start at the very first time. So maybe it's your main level, or maybe like the core level of the game, or entrance level of the game. So here you can mention that level name. So the save game system automatically will figure out where to load the game at the very first time. And the save slot context name is basically, as I mentioned at the introduction video, considering the architecture of the save game system, here we are following some folder structure there. So save game are the slots that going to save the independent states of your game, as well as the save slot context is the container that manage all these slots by holding their important metadata, right? So the folder structure would be like this. So these are some of the save slots, and this is the save slot context, which is that container that holds the metadata of these save slots, right? So this save slot context is a name that we have been given just to indicate that it is a specific container, and here is that value, right? So you can maybe change this name to whatever name you want, maybe like save game container or some other different name. Then this specific container will be renamed to that specific name, right? So we have given that customizable feature for the developers as well, so you can configure that based on your needs. Okay, and yeah, so those are some of the core features of the game and the core components actually, right? So basically we have two different game modes, and we have a game instance, and we have some pluggable blueprint actor components which handles the game's state related logics as well as the heads up display or HUD related activities. And yeah, so that's how we can migrate our project, as well as some very brief introduction about the underlying architecture of the save game system. And the next tutorial will try to cover in-depth understanding of these each and every individual components. And yeah, so thank you.